citizen desiring to address the hospital board should turn in the speaker card to the board secretary. If the citizen comment pertains to an item of agenda today, the comment will be heard early in this meeting. Otherwise, it will be heard towards the end. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Vendors, suppliers, or other persons seeking hospital contracts awarded on a competitive basis are reminded that their ability to address the board may be restricted by the terms of the invitation for bid, request for proposal, or other purchasing criteria. Lastly, the board has established a claims adjustment review panel comprised of representatives of the board, the medical staff, administration, and legal counsel to review and negotiate the settlement of claims. Accordingly, the board will not entertain comments on or discuss or negotiate claims at this meeting. Can I get an approval of the orders of the day? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Great. Can I get an approval for, sorry, I'm going to ask for a motion. Sorry. Can I get approval of the minutes of the meeting of September 24th, 2024? Can I get a second? Thank you so much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. This morning we did our annual election of our board officers. I will remain as chair for the second term. First vice chair is Sharon Peters. Second vice chair is Bridget Fiorica. Secretary is Patty Mariah. Assistant secretary is Vic Roby. Treasurer is Kevin Cooper, and assistant treasurer is Pam Biley. Can I get a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Can I get a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next on the agenda is our Excel award winners, David Vander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a September and October Excel award winners to acknowledge or recognize today. And I will start with our September Excel award winner. And I will ask Nate Colbert to come up. Nate, come on up. I'm going to say some nice things about you, okay?
That's all right.
Now you stand up here. Yeah, right? So, our Excel Award winner for September is Nate Colbert, a hospitality liaison in Central Patient Transport. Nate has been a member of our team since 2018. Colleagues who nominated him for the Excel Award said he is truly dedicated to his department, to his peers, but above all, to our patients. He always has a kind word for everyone and shows great compassion for patients and family. Nate is also an excellent communicator who keeps departments, patients, and staff informed of critical needs at all times, no matter how busy he gets. He also is a great multitasker who keeps everything running smoothly. He monitors the transportation board and collaborates with staff to help decrease wait times. He is always willing to jump in and help prevent delays or reduce a patient's discomfort. As one nomination said, it is an honor to have Nate as a liaison. He is so deserving of this award, and now he knows how valuable he is to our team, our patients, and our health system. Nate, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for always keeping our patients in mind. We appreciate you. Okay. Would you like to say a couple of things?
Just a simple appreciation of everybody in all my neighboring departments, and I intend on continuing to do this. That's all.
You missed the last management council, so you didn't get out of that. So you're gonna have to come back and get recognized in front of the whole team. Okay?
So, Paul.
All right, fair enough. Thank you very much. Okay. We also have our Excel Award winner for October, and I'd like to ask Adali Duran to come down. Adali, come on down. Stand up here. I'll see you. Adali is a nutrition attendant in our food nutrition services. She's been an employee since 2016, and her colleagues describe her as a natural leader and role model of excellent service. Dolly has taken the initiative to learn other positions throughout the department and helps cover the needs of the team regardless of the job function. She has a great relationship with her coworkers and staff on clinical units. Most importantly, Dolly puts patients first. She goes way out of her way to make sure patients get what they need. She works especially well with patients who have challenging diets and food preferences. And is ready to do whatever it takes to make them happy. She serves as a lead trainer, and sets the highest standards for accuracy of orders and delivery times. The food nutrition team says she is the perfect SMH employee, and they're proud to call her their own. Thank you for everything you do for this organization and your patients. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for, it's a pleasure to work here. I love my job. And I
We love
be
you
here.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up is our medical staff report. Dr. Federica.
Yes, I have some amendments from SMH healthcare system, the joint credentials policy, and the joint glossary. Had some updates, and at this time I ask for a motion for approving these amendments as recommended by the SMH, and SMH Sarasota and SMH Venice Medical Executive Committee.
Second.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next up, Dr. Berwick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also have some amendments, updates to propose. I'm asking for a motion approving the SMH Sarasota bylaws update and the updates and amendments to the SMH Sarasota cardiology, emergency medicine, endocrinology, and vascular surgery delineation of privileges, all of which have been recommended by the SMH Sarasota Medical Executive Committee.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I am also seeking motion for approval of the 2024-2025 SMH Sarasota Medical Executive Committee roster, including the medical staff officers, as well as the department chairs, section chiefs, and committee rosters, as elected and appointed by the SMH Sarasota medical staff and recommended by the SMH Sarasota Medical Executive Committee.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Next up is Dr. Perrin. Can you hear us, Dr. Perrin?
He's not
Dr.
here.
Federica.
I can give his report. Let me go ahead, if that's
Okay,
okay.
that would be great.
The SMH Venice has recommendations to approve the policies, guidelines, and procedure forms. And they also have recommendations to approve the medical executive committee roster for the Venice campus. This is advanced by the medical executive committee seeking approval.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Next up is our secretary's report. Patty.
December 17th. Okay, December 17th, 2024. The calendar will be as such: 9 to 9:30, closed session, municipal board meeting. 9:30 to 12, governance effectiveness committee meeting. 12 o'clock to 1:30, review of financials, board issue, and board lunch. And 1:30 to 4 p.m., board meeting.
Kevin, for our treasurer's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have one item here, which is the approval of bad debts and charity care. And for that, I move approval of the bad debts and charity care for the month ended September 30, 2024, in the amount of $57,638,000, and the month October 31, 2024, in the amount of $22,603,000.
We get a second. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Kevin. Next up is Jeff Lombacher for our financial report.
Good afternoon, thank you. I'll be presenting our financial highlights for the month of October. That is the first month of our new fiscal year 2025. So as we go through some of the graphs that have month-to-date, year-to-date, obviously I'll just be mentioning month-to-date. The year-to-date is the same exact number. Okay, this first graph is our total revenues in millions. This is rating agency format, so it includes ad valorem taxes in addition to our patient revenues. Our actual for the month was $164,319,000 versus the budget, the orange bar in the middle of $171,627,000. Total expenses for the month of October, $155,975,000 actual versus a budget of $163,314,000. Our resulting operating income for the month of October was an actual of $8.344 million on a budget of $8.314 million. That's an operating margin of 5.1% actual versus a budgeted operating margin percent of 4.8%. Moving on to statistics, I'll remind the board we didn't have the hurricane in the month of October, so specifically on the outpatient side, as I mentioned earlier, we did have quite a few closures for several days during the month of October that did impact much of our outpatient volumes. The first graph on the left is average daily occupancy. We had a total of 907 occupancy for the month of October versus a budget of 919. That was a length of stay, if you look at the boxes down at the bottom left, for Sarasota campus of 4.63 days, and for Venice campus it was 3.97 days for the month of October. The bar charts to the right, admissions and observation cases. We had admission actual of 6,812 cases versus a budget of 6,579 cases. More statistics. This is surgery cases and births. On the left side is surgery cases, actual of 2,645 total cases versus a budget of 2,790. Births on the right, actual 416 versus a budget of 399. And outpatient and ER registrations, outpatient registrations to the left, an actual of 45,225 registrations versus a budget of 48,667. And then on the ECC registrations, 4,561 versus a budget of 4,766. And then my last slide is case mix index, measures the acuity of our inpatients. And if you look at the graphs all the way to the right, it shows fiscal year 2025, which right now is just 1 month. You can see the first bar is the Sarasota campus case mix for all patients of 1.95. For Medicare only is the next bar, the orange bar of 2.07. For the Venice campus, the all patient case mix index was 1.57, and the Medicare only case mix index was 1.6. That concludes my report. Michelle, any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Jeff? Hopefully I'm gonna pass. Yeah. Okay. Theoretically, passing the gavel to each. Next on the agenda is our committee report. The board's November meeting is our annual organizational meeting with the Governance Effective Committee, and we met this morning to go over recommendations for the board organization and other annual items. First, we reviewed the board calendar, and there was extensive discussion on the efficiency gained from staggering the board meetings with educational workshops, with an emphasis on the fact that the public board meetings are still to be held with great frequency. For example, this month, December and January, we all have full committees and board meetings. There was also discussion about tailoring the workshops to enhance both board education and discourse and to respond to public interest. The topics for those will be determined as the year goes on. At this point, I move to approve the board calendar for the 2024-2025 board year as recommended by the Governance Effective Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, Sharon, you need to do that part, sorry.
Ditto, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, we discussed upcoming Governance Institute educational meeting that the board members traditionally attend. Under our board policy, we approve the expenses for that meeting, and so I move to approval for the reasonable travel expenses for those board members attending the Governance Institute Leadership Conference in January pursuant to the board's policy regarding reasonable travel expenses and as recommended by the Governance Effective Committee.
Second.
All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. And next, we had discussion on the board officers for the coming year, which we voted on earlier in this meeting. I want to thank all the board for their confidence in me, and I look forward to serving you all. Next, the board members discussed their committee preference for next year, and I will make those appointments in December for that. The committee discussed the board's standing orders and bylaws and needed modernization for those and clarification of both, including giving authority to the administration for smaller real property acquisitions and disposition. There was significant discussion on this, and particularly around the importance of the board's oversight and governance and responsibilities. At this time, I move approval of the change and clarification of the standing orders and board bylaws as recommended by the Governance Committee.
All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Finally, the board reviewed some of its policies and made changes to conform with the bylaws and to clarify the succession planning process. At this time, I move approval of the changes to and ramifications of the board's succession plan, indemnity and decision-making and community representative process policies as recommended by the Government Committee.
All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, that concludes my report. And next on our agenda is the President's report, mission and planning, Greg Carter.
The Mission Planning Committee met this morning. Presentation given to the committee, which was South County Site Development Updates. Presentation given by Sharon Marsh, President of Sarasota One Hospital, Minutes, and Tom Farragut, Exclusive Director of the Architectural and Structural, introduced two sites in Northport that Sarasota Memorial currently owns and plans to develop. One part in Central Mobile, Mr. Ross and Mr. Farragut discussed the history of SMH in South County and went through information gathered during the master planning process. Sarasota Memorial leadership plans to to the board in January for approval of project phasing and funding for the Northport campuses.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carter. Next up is the President's report.
It's okay. So thanks, Madam Chair. I start my report off like I do each month with our organizational report card. And looking at our 5 areas of concentration: service, people, quality, finance, and growth.
We have an indicator in each one of those. We have the goal and we have the score, our score, our rating. I just remind everyone, this is our first month of the fiscal year. So these will change a little bit more going forward. We'll have some more discussion in December on next year's goals at that point. So we're using last year's goals. Okay. So in the service area, area of concentration, we have our goal of having our likelihood of recommending. Out of our 8 areas that we surveyed, having 10 areas of survey, we have a goal of having 8 out of 10 of those being at average greater than the 75th percentile. Happy to report we are we're meeting that goal in all 10 of those areas, and I'll show the details on that in a minute. The people area concentration, we have our goal is having our new hire retention, our percent of regular full-time and part-time employees that are hired within the fiscal year that are still employed by the end of the year, being at 83% or greater. As you might expect in the first month, it better be pretty high, or else we're going to have part of the end of the year, so we're paying 85%. In the quality area, our goal is our infection prevention rate, which is a combined overall standardized infection rate, being less than 0.8. Happy to report we're continuing to exceed that at 0.51. Just to remind the board, national average on that would be 1.0, so we're already a standard deviation below national average in our goal, so we're in others. In the finance, you heard Jeff, our CFO, Jeff Humbacher, give his report. We have our goal of having our operating margin, meet our budget. We have a goal of 5%, and right now we're hitting 5%, so we hit our budget the first month. And then finally, in the last area of concentration and growth, we have 2 goals. One is our inpatient admissions and outpatient observation outpatients. That is our goal is having 84,000 for the year. So checking that out, we're exceeding that at 3.6%. On the other side of that is our outpatient registrations. We have a goal of having 1.286 million outpatient registrations. We are off on that by 8.5%. The reason that there's 2 shifts, we did have more admissions come in, I think, because of the hurricanes, the 2 hurricanes that we had. And then we had to shut down a lot of our outpatient sites for a week during the hurricane. So that's why we would expect that number to be right. But as Jen reported to the board earlier in storage, we expect that number to rebound quite a bit before the end of the quarter. So looking at detail on our patient experience report card, just to orient you on this map, on this graph rather. The far left is the likelihood of recommending. That's the 10 areas that we surveyed. The middle number in white is what our actual score is for fiscal year 2025. The next one over is the national median score, and then finally is the 75th percentile score, which is what our goal is centered around. Happy to report that we are hitting all 10 out of 10 in this reporting period. So I really thank the team for a lot of great work on that. Next up, we had the opportunity to recognize one of our own SMH staff members received the Magnet Nurse of the Year Award, which was, I'm not sure that's happened before, but it's certainly, we're very proud of her. Diane Shep is SMH's Advanced Specialty Program Coordinator for Acute Pain Service. She was awarded the prestigious 2024 Magnet Nurse of the Year for exemplary professional practice by American Nurses Credentialing Center at the organization's annual conference earlier this month. Diane received the national award in recognition for her actions taken at the height of the opioid pandemic, finding new ways for clinical nurses to safely and effectively manage pain without opiates and to champion innovation in years since. She started SMH's acute pain service back in pain service team back in 1996 in collaboration with our pharmacy director and acted as the sole acute pain nurse. Today, the program includes 8 acute pain nurses who see 250 to 300 patients each month. In 1998, she created the pain resource nurse team, followed by
by the Pain Management Stewardship Program a decade later. So once again, congratulations to Diane for everything she's done. SMH also got the chance to honor physicians and install our new medical staff leaders. Last month, Sarasota Memorial announced its 2025 chiefs of staff for the SMH Sarasota and the SMH Venice campuses, and honored 2 physicians for their outstanding service to SMH in the Suncoast community. Dr. Ruben Holland, our medical director of Sarasota Memorial Emergency and Urgent Care Services, received Sarasota Memorial's 2024 Lifetime Achievement Award, while SMH trauma surgeon Kristen Schultz was named Physician of the Year. Congratulations to all of them. SMH serves our region's needs after Hurricane Milton. Sarasota Memorial stood strong through Hurricane Milton, sheltering and supporting more than 4,700 patients, medical evacuees, physicians, employees, and children of staff on duty. An on-site pet shelter also cared for numerous pets of our hurricane team members. SMH Sarasota and SMH Venice were among the few hospitals in the region that remained fully open and operational during and after the storm. As a result, patient volumes were high and both hospitals reached full capacity. Our North Ward ER and our Sarasota Memorial Nursing and Rehab Center also remained in service throughout the hurricane. We began reopening our urgent care centers, network of outpatient centers, and physician offices as quickly as possible once electricity and water and utility services were restored throughout the community. Hurricane relief for SMH staff. The dedication of staff has been remarkable over the past few months as Team SMH continued to care for our community despite facing their own hardships and impact of multiple storms. Nearly all of our 10,000 plus employees live in the areas that suffered the storm impacts, and many experienced damage to their homes and vehicles. Our foundation stepped up to assist, and its SMH employee with the Hurricane Relief Fund that was a way for the community to say thank you. In addition, hospital leaders arranged with state and federal officials to provide free fuel to staff amid local gas shortages. That left was a photo of staff's cars entering our Rain Boulevard site, which provided 15 gallons of free gas to employees over the several days following Hurricane Milton, and that was part of a FEMA program. Lectures focusing on Alzheimer's disease and fall prevention. We always have lectures going through lectures for the community. I would just invite you, this is going to be difficult to read this print, go to our website and look that up. But these free lecture series always draw a lot of people to them. And we have multiple dates available for that. We do ask that you go online and just sign up, just so we'll know how many people are going to be there, but it is free. Our latest SMH podcast focuses on women's health, establishing care with no OB/GYN, and receiving quality prenatal care can make an enormous difference in maintaining a healthy pregnancy. First physician group, OB/GYN, Dr. Whitman, discusses what parents can expect and why the care is so important in the 3-part maternity mini-series. Breast health services play a crucial role in early detection and treatment of breast care. Diagnostic radiologist Dr. Jeff Wasserman discusses various types of mammograms and additional tests needed for breast cancer detection. You can see all this on our website as well and sign up for a podcast. This was just a neat picture that we had. We had some thanks to the generous spirit from a former NICU mom. These little ones had their first Halloween in style. Just thought we'd share some pictures of that. And that is my report. Madam Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for you? Okay. We have no consent agenda. We will move on to public comments. I will call your name if you can come forward, and then I'll call the next speaker to be ready. Lisa Bellette, followed by Saul Kilstein. Lisa, just 1 minute. Just a second. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
I didn't know Dr. Defonte before I started attending hospital board meetings. But after hearing his patient experience and his request for a quality review, I decided to learn more so I could add my voice to his request. I found his cell phone number through public means and cold texted him, asking if he'd be up for a phone call so I could learn more. And that was the beginning of a journey that resulted in me combing through all his records, the entire medical chart he received, the security report, the police report he submitted, and more. I sent an email to all board members last month, laying out red flag after red flag that cast serious doubt on the meet standard of care conclusion. I showed you how things just weren't adding up. I asked each board member if you could please get in touch with me, even just for a quick 15-minute phone call, so we could go over the red flags I found. But the silence after sending those emails has been deafening. With just a few exceptions that I'm very thankful for, I have been experiencing a near complete communication blackout on our request for answers since last month. Dr. Defonte gave permission to discuss his records and offered to sign a liability waiver. So if any of you really think standard of care was met, wouldn't you just want to meet with me and share your thoughts with the goal of nipping this in the bud? If you have no concerns about any of the red flags I pointed out to you, and you want to indicate so at this time, I invite you to indicate so. But I'm guessing things aren't adding up for you about this either, and hopefully by now you can see what I see and are realizing that it really looks like something very wrong happened to him at this hospital. I spelled out some of the more chilling aspects of his patient experience in my emails, but I also want to call attention to the fact that his records also include his written documentation that staff refused to provide him and his roommate with their doctor's name. Against the backdrop of the twilight zone he found himself in, that was certainly not the worst thing that happened to him by far. But with 4 nurses on the board, does it bother you that the review apparently failed to take issue with this black and white departure from patient rights that I believe is encoded into law? Is withholding the doctor's name from a patient now considered to meet standard of care? I showed you in my email how the doctor on the next shift appeared to smell a rat with the 4-point restraints in the Baker Act. I showed you how the key eyewitness statements do not add up, in my opinion. I showed you how this appears to be an unjustified use of force on a senior patient. For questions this serious, we really do need the huge red flags addressed one way or another. Communication blackouts need to end, and support for answers from those previously silent needs to begin. We cannot have a quality review process that says things are fine, but does not provide answers to pressing questions. We ask that you call for a meeting so Dr. Defonte, along with guests of his choice, the board, and an independent doctor of their choice, can all get together and get his specific questions answered. If for whatever reason you are satisfied with the review results as they stand, then we ask that you meet with me to explain how on God's green earth the humans can possibly be reconciled. I usually don't refer to board members specifically during public comments, but this time is different. I am experiencing a near complete communication blackout from most board members, not only on this topic, but also a near complete communication blackout regarding some pretty comprehensive solutions I've brought to you on other areas. I've come to realize that until two-way dialogue opens up with the majority of board members, at least about the biggest issues, pretty much everything all of us are advocating for during public comments is dead in the water. And that exposes patients to preventable harm, in my opinion. So on top of my goal of showing you why we need specific questions answered, a second goal is convincing you that we need to hear back from you, all of you in general. We need a two-way dialogue. We can't just keep speaking into a void with no feedback at all about where you stand on anything. So I wanted to start off by thanking those I've had great conversations with. Thank you to Vic, thank you to Bridget, thank you to Brad. Thank you to Patty for your prior assistance with this and for expressing an interest after the March meeting and walking through all the red flags I'm finding. I deeply value your commitment to patients. Sarah, Sharon, and Greg, I don't think I've ever heard back from you, and I'd love to. Kevin and Pam, I really value your experience. Kevin, we had a great conversation in August. I'd love to have more. Pam, I really value your background as a cardiac nurse and our Executive Director of Women's Human Services, I'd love to meet. Thank you.
I think it's really important for the public to understand the layers of review that have gone into this case. Beginning on the day after Dr. Gafanti left the hospital, there was an internal quality review by senior leadership. Following that, there was another quality review pursuant to the quality committee's normal process improvement and quality review structure. It was also reviewed by the Sarasota Police Department. Following that, it was reviewed by the medical staff CPE committee, the higher level of review. It was also reviewed by the Agency for Healthcare Administration and by the Joint Commission, which accredits hospitals, all of which had access to Dr. Gafanti's chart as well as other information, and for the external reviewers had access to Dr. Gafanti's complaints. In addition, at Dr. Gafanti's request, an external expert was hired who was recommended by the plaintiff's law firm of Morgan & Morgan. Following that review, there was a meeting between Dr. Gafanti, his spouse, and two folks that he brought with him, as well as Jim Fiorica, the Chief Medical Officer of the organization, myself as the Chief Legal Officer, and Patty Mariah as the Vice Chair of the Quality Committee. At that time, Dr. Gafanti was both apologized to for not the first time, but also there was extensive discussion about the various reviews. This is not to start a dialogue here, it's just to clarify the record with regard to the level of review that this case has received and the level of dialogue with Dr. Gafanti that has taken place in the 3.5 years since it occurred.
20 seconds.
I think she asked for no, that's fine.
I stepped in after that last review because when a patient goes through something like that, sometimes they know what's wrong, but they're not sure how to express that. So I stepped in to highlight red flags. And so what we're asking for is, can we get specific answers?
No, thank you. Yeah, no, not in this setting. Not at all. Next up is Sal Kilstein, followed by Ruth Brandywine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Saul Kilstein from the South County Department of Sarasota. First, I want to thank this system. I recently went through an outpatient procedure, and overall, considering it started at 6 a.m., it was a very positive experience, and I want to call out a surgical nurse named Nancy who stood by me throughout the procedure, including holding my hand through some uncomfortable parts of the procedure. So a great experience, first one I had in the hospital system. On to the topics I usually appear at this forum to discuss. The recent national election may have profound consequences for SMH, for which the board must prepare. On the clinical side, the board and its medical leadership must become the bulwark against the anti-science voices and actions, both at the national front, including potentially CDC, NIH, and the leadership if the Senate approves the nomination at the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as continuing voices within this community. On the financial side, the board and its CFO must plan for potential cuts in Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act through its subsidies. This can not only impact future reimbursement, but you heard today the substantial cost to the system for uncompensated care. And that can potentially grow dramatically if cuts to Medicaid occur. This is something your strategic planning process has to be prepared for, not only in the immediate future, but long term. Third, recent board primary and general election results show the overwhelming support, both at the Republican primary level and in the general election for the election outcome. The number of people who came out and voted in the Democratic and Republican side of this election shows that there's overwhelming support for the research and scientific-based care that this institution provides, both on the clinical side and the research side. And through its strategic planning process, you have to think about bringing in the elected and appointed officials in this area and show them what you do, how you do it, and the impact potential cuts that are on the table will mean to the community at large. And you can do that without violating lobbying laws. And I encourage you to begin to think about educational forums that show the elected officials what you do and how important it is to their constituency. And finally, because you've given me an extra 2 minutes, I'll just make a plea. When the Venice facility was on the planning board, you had the opportunity to put a storm shelter there. It was not included. As you begin, well, you've already gotten the design for Northport, but as you think about future developments, we've had 3 major storms this year. It's not going to be the first year you're going to have major storms in Sarasota County and the environs. Please consider storm shelters in your future facilities. Thank you for this opportunity.
Next up, Ruth Brandywine.
Good afternoon, thank you. The name is Brandywine, no Y there, it's not British.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I won't take my full time. I just, on behalf of the Legal Room voters, I want to thank all the candidates who participated in our candidate forums earlier this year. We are a nonpartisan organization. We do not take any positions on candidates, but we take positions on issues, obviously. And we care very deeply about the public hospital board. And we thank you for your participation. It was a very civil debate, a very civil discussion of all participants. There were a couple who did not show, but most of the people did show. And it was well attended, and I thank you again for participating. The Legal Room voters have an observer board here, as we do in our for the school board. And we've been doing this for now almost 2 years. We have several volunteers who come to each of the public meetings. We take notes, and we distribute that to our members through our website and to our board, so that we remain and keep informed about what's going on. And we want you to know that we've got your back. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That was our last speaker. Next on our agenda is legal matters. Carolyn?
I have no report.
Okay. Any other business? With that said, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.